What up, YouTube Alayx, coming back at you with another Starcraft 2 cast. On the top left-hand side of the map, we have our red Zerg player Deathsbane, and on the bottom right-hand side of the map, we have our blue Terran player xChenx. We'll just call him Chen to make this easier on us. This is a little bit of confusion there. My apologies. This is a platinum versus platinum level game, so we might see some unique strategies coming out from both these players. It does look like Chen was not satisfied with the placement of his supply depot. Will correct that, and looks like he is planning on finishing up this wall here, and I do not blame him going against a Zerg. You do want to make sure that your wall is perfect, otherwise they may notice a fault in your defenses and try to overrun you with speedlings. But in this case, it does look like it is going to be a hatchery first for Deathsbane, so Chen has plenty of time to get his wall set up and maybe even get an expansion here and wall off the little hallway here to his natural. So looking to be more or less a standard game. We do see extractor and spawning pool coming down at the same time. We'll see if Zerg decides to go for a third base here, an early third base. Based on the fact that he's already going for a spawning pool extractor, I don't think he's going to get that third hatchery super soon at the very least. We do have a scout here for the Terran player. Will see that this is what appears to be a hatchery first for the enemy Zerg player. And on the Terran side of things, he is expanding as well. Should feel very safe to do this after seeing that the Zerg player went for the hatchery first. We do have the Reaper on the way for the Terran player, so he should get some more scouting information if he's able to keep this Reaper alive. Keep in mind, this is a platinum level game, so micro might not be as on point as we're used to seeing in the higher level games here, but he is on his way. This Reaper on a mission, not wasting a moment, going towards the Zerg base to see if he can either do some damage or get some scouting in. It does look like this Overlord spotted it, though. We will see the Zerglings, unfortunately for the Reaper, getting this around, and it does seem like that's exactly what I was talking about. The micro was just not on point. It's possible Chen was not paying attention to that Reaper and was not able to save it in time. Unfortunately, he did see that there were some Zerglings, but not much else outside of the natural, which he already knew was going to be there. Taking a look at the production tab, it does look like there is a reactor on this barracks here, pumping out 2 Marines, following this up with a factory and another command center. So it does look like Terran's going for the third base here, while Zerg is still on 2 base, and it does look like these Zerglings have some beef with these rocks. They are just beating them up. Very cool skin on these Zerglings, but these poor rocks unfortunately do not stand a chance, although it's going to take a little while for those rocks to go down. Now I wonder, we still don't see a third hatchery here. We're going to see something I think that's quite unusual, which is going to be a Terran ahead in bases against a Zerg opponent. I wonder if this is going to be some sort of 2-base all-in play. We'll find out in a little bit here. Now, if you're new to my channel, my goal is to cast games from the general ladder, not just pro games, because I feel like the general ladder just doesn't get enough love. I feel like we don't see a lot of content that covers games from, you know, Bronze League all the way up to Masters. We see mostly GM level games and some Master games as well, so I think it's a really cool idea to get some general ladder games in as well, because I think it'd be really cool to see what strategies you see in the different ladders, and some people might actually be interested in seeing what they can expect, what sort of strategies they can expect to see within their own league. And I think it's just fun to cast games. So this is where we're at right now. It does look like we have some Hellions coming to do some harassment here. I think this is enough Hellions to handle this queen here with proper micro. It does look like they tried to bail. They are going to try and get get these Zerglings out of position, but unfortunately for them, they just do not make it in time. It does look like Chen is kiting these away. Unfortunately, this poor Hellion left to die by his friends. These the Zerg army standing on top of it, just making sure it's actually dead. Interesting. We have the command center here finishing up the wall. It's possible this was a split decision by Chen after seeing what looked to be a relatively solid Zerg army coming his way. And the command center is a beefy building, will be able to take a lot of hits. Did I just see that Zergling run in? I don't think this is a complete wall, actually. That is kind of an interesting design. You would think that the wall would complete at the edge of these lights here, but it looks like they don't, and the Zerg does break through anyway, starts to cause havoc in the Terran natural here. These, unfortunately, these roaches do not shoot up, and these banshees are going to be able to try and chase this away. This queen, late to the party, wants to see how its children are doing, but unfortunately left behind by her children, will get destroyed by the grenades from those banshees. I think it's grenades that they launch. I'm not actually sure. And we do have this hatchery coming down for the Zerg player. I would say that's a bit of a late third hatchery, but now I guess we can't really call this a 2-base all-in anymore, can we? It's very interesting that this command center here, this orbital command, is still hanging out in the wall. I do kind of like the idea because it's a very beefy building, but eventually you could put like a factory here plus another supply depot and start getting this this orbital command to work, land it in the third base location here. We do have what looks to be cloaked banshees. Unfortunately for the Zerg player, this is going to be very frustrating. We do have the overseer, but we only have what looks to be 1 or 2 queens dealing with this. These queens slowly trickling out of these hatcheries, but right now, without the additional support, the queens won't be able to do much, unfortunately, because queens, although they are very good anti-air, they also rely on each other to keep themselves alive with that healing ability. So 1 queen, really not that much to worry about. 3 or 4 queens, that would be a bit of an issue here. We do have Hydralisks on the way, though, in the production tab, and they will absolutely be able to clean these banshees up. I know people like talk smack on Hydras, but I think they're such good anti-air. Every time I see them, they just melt anything that flies. They are a bit squishy, but I think they got a speed buff in the patch, and I think they're great DPS, so there are better units, sure, but Hydras, they're never a bad unit to mix in, especially if you need something that shoots up and you have a big tanky army like roaches. So they're good air support here. This is going to be a very, very tough tough position to break for the Zerg player here. We got what it looks like 3 tanks sieged up behind a wall that's backed by an orbital command. This is going to be rough. We do have a lot of Ravagers, though. They will be able to use their ability here, but it looks like Chen lifting off at the inopportune moment here, letting the Zerg into his base. I don't think he was aware of the Zerg army hanging out just outside his natural, but these tanks doing so much work. It looks like, what, 9 kills on this tank, 4 kills on that tank, 13 kills between these 2 tanks alone, and we still have the majority of the Terran army alive. So ultimately, that orbital was almost like bait, unintentional bait, letting the Zerg into the natural of the Terran player, but unfortunately running into the fire line of 3 siege tanks. And now it does look like the army supply is heavily in favor of the Terran player. It is, well, it was heavily in favor. Now it's about even. It was about 10 supply ahead for the Terran player, but Zerg re-macroed up just in time, able to clean up the rest of his Terran army. And now suddenly it does look like Zerg is going to be ahead. What was that? I think that looks like it was a medevac. So a drop, an attempted drop behind that push here, but now it's looking to be almost in favor of Deathsbane, our red Zerg player here. This tank in a solid position, able to take out some of the roaches across this entire, what is it? Looks like a little city. And now, man, I still don't know whose game this is. They've been trading really well, and behind this we do have a drop of Marines, unfortunately losing that medevac. But taking a look at the units, last tab here, let's take a look. It's 12 workers killed by red, 8 by blue, so pretty even worker count. Or workers killed by both players. Worker count is also relatively even, 46 workers to 52 workers in favor of our Terran player. And now it's looking like things are quieting down, but we have a pretty solid chunk of Zerg units here. Taking a look at this tank, 5 kills, just chilling. This tank doesn't have any kills yet, but they are in a very solid position surrounding the outskirts of the natural base of our blue Terran player here. We have 2 more barracks being thrown down behind this to add to the production of the Terran player. And it is what, 3 base to 3 base. Typically as Zerg, you want to be 1 or 2 bases ahead. I've said it before, but just the nature of how Zerg operates, the hatchery being your income and your production, you want a bit more hatcheries, and it's as if Deathsbane is listening to me throwing down the 4th hatchery. It's never too late. And watchtower being thrown down by the 3rd base. This will give Aaron some range on the site of the outskirts of his side of the map here. We have a pretty solid unit composition. It looks like it is a mix of Zerglings, Roaches, Banelings, and Hydras. So this is going to be very rough. If the Banelings get a good engagement with these Marines, that will soften them up a lot. And it looks like Banelings going in first. A good chunk of the Terran army does get destroyed, and we have the DPS of the Hydras to support it, but unfortunately just a little bit too much for them to handle. But that was a very solid engagement by Zerg still. At least the intention of it was sending those Banelings in first to deal with the bio units of the Terran player here, and then following up with the rest of his army. But unfortunately, I think these units here, just too many surviving, and now Zerg in a little bit of a tricky situation here. These medevacs doing work healing the rest of the Terran army. And taking a look at the minimap, we do have more. We have more units coming in, but it does look like Deathsbane throwing out the GG, a very polite GG. Well done, really nice hold, and that was a nice hold. I gotta love good sportsmanship. That was a very solid game, and always nice to see a player that is a very good sport about it, complimenting his opponent and respecting just how well the opponent played. And man, that's wholesome. I was not expecting that. Very cool, Deathsbane. Very cool. Anyway, if you enjoyed what you saw, please consider shooting me a like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you want me to cast some of your own games, I will have my email in the description below. And I'll see you guys on the next one.